The following program was produced by a PAC TV community producer and does not reflect the views or opinions of the PAC TV staff or the PAC TV Board of Directors. The content contained herein is the sole responsibility of the community producer.
This is Mark, and this is City Lights, City Streets. And there was a bombing just recently at the World Trade Center. And both buildings collapsed completely to the ground. Now, whose fault is that? Terrorists, maybe? Ooh. They said the authorities knew that a terrorist act was coming. They knew that something was going to happen. The government knew. Bush knew. The CIA, FBI knew it all was going to happen. And when it happened, where was Bush, the most powerfulest man in the world? He was in a schoolroom in Sarasota, Florida, reading a story to school children. The most powerfulest man in the world reading a story to school children. When there have been firestorms all over the world for the last 5 years. I say, America, it's time we take our gloves off and bring the reality to the situation. We spend millions of dollars in aid. We have millions of military men all over the world fighting in Kosovo, fighting in, giving weapons to Israel, giving weapons to the Arabs. All over the world there's military American presence, millions of soldiers, thousands of troops all over the world protecting their airways, protecting their shores. I say bring home the American military. Let them protect our shores, from California to the New Jersey shores. The problem is that the United States government knew about terrorist attacks that were coming. Anybody with any common sense knows that's going to happen, and it did happen. We have military all over the world. All over the world we have military, thousands of troops all over the world, America, and they're protecting Israeli shores. They're protecting Kosovo shores. Well, what about our shores, America? They knew it was coming. Why didn't they bring home all the military? Isn't it time that we fight, let them fight their own wars and come home finally and see, America, that we must fight our own war and we must protect our shores? Does it take this horrendous act of terrorism to make the American people see that the military should be here from sea to shining sea? And I'm here in historic Plymouth, Massachusetts, and we're going out to 50 communities, and we, the people of America, must use common sense. Bring the military home to protect our shores. The Iraqi fly zone, no-fly zone, 24 hours a day for 7 years. The U.S. military has flown over Iraq to monitor those airways over Iraq. Well, why isn't there military flying on our shores and protecting our shores? Why isn't the military in every airport in the United States checking passports, etc.? We've spread ourselves too thin. But now it is the end of that. Now we must begin. We must begin by bringing the military to our shores to protect our holy land, Because America, we the people of America, this is our holy land. Right, John? And this one's for you, Whit. And I'm Mark, and this is City Lights, City Streets. And that's the fact, and you can take that to the bank, Jack. The party's going on right here. The American party. I talk to people. New Jersey. Them gift, but that won't happen to us. Because we're going to back to Mary. Us. Sam has deserted us. We ate us. And I'm not going to say like City Street. Take all the American all these back home. They belong to protect our holy land. This is holy land. No way it should happen because there was firestorms all over the world for the last 5 years. We should know. Once you see your nose into someone else's business, they're going to get mad. What if Canada stuck their nose into the Civil War of America? There's a civil war between black and white, between North and South. What if Canada came down and says, hey, you can't do that. We're going to go on the side of the South, or we're going to go on the side of the North, and we're going to give you aid. You'd be pretty pissed off in Canada, though. At least one side would be, let them fight out their own civil wars. Haven't we got enough racial wars in America? Haven't we got enough cultural wars in America? Haven't we got enough economic deprivation in America? Haven't we got 12 million children living in poverty in America? And you send money, the government sends money over to Israel, over to Egypt, to protect their water systems, to get them better transportation systems, to get them better electrical plants. Well, how about a better water system for America? How about a better air quality system for America? How about a public transportation for America where American people can go to work without having to spend a lot of money for cars and pollute the air? What about that, America? We, the people of America, must speak out. I am as American as apple pie. But why is it the government? Lies, lies, lies. Bring home the military men. Protect our shores. And this is Mark. And this is City Lights, City Lights, City Lights, City Lights, City Lights, City Streets on the American shore. And I'm in Plymouth, Massachusetts, where it all began. And if you can't tell the truth in Plymouth, Massachusetts, I guess you can't say it anywhere. And we'll be right back. I got some more news for you about children. I wasn't going to mention their names, but I'm going to mention them because I just went and talked to them. The 12 tribes, Plymouth, Massachusetts. They are a religious group that believe in spanking their kids. They said spanking isn't hitting. Spanking isn't beating. We spank our kids. We love our kids. Hitting is bad no matter which way you look at it. And then if an adult did it to another adult, it'd be assault and battery. The kids have no rights. I wrote this thing for any religious people that believe that hitting kids is good. I call it beating. I don't know, I got hit when I was a kid, spanked, and I called it beating. And it wasn't love, it was hate. And it was cruel. You don't hit kids. That's why the state of affairs of the world is the way it is, because the children were neglected, they were hit. And when they get spanked, they go out into the real world and they say, the only way to help a problem, if a problem exists, don't try to communicate it out with the wondrous sacred word. Slap them in the ass. But that ain't the way it goes. Not in my class. We must bring humanity up to a bigger class and stop being the ass. So the children is where it all begins. And there's this religious group in Plymouth, Massachusetts. And I wrote this especially for them, but I write this for anybody that hits their kids. And the children is where it all begins. You wouldn't have all the wars in the world if you let the children take over, because the children, believe it or not, innately know what's right. They know that hitting is bad. They know spanking is bad. They know when they do something wrong is bad. And this is Mark, and this is City Lights, City Streets. And you can see us now Wednesday nights at 8:30 p.m. and 10 o'clock on Friday nights. And on Wednesday nights, an hour-and-a-half show, and on Friday nights, it is a 2-hour show. And this is Mark, and this is City Lights, City Streets, and I wrote this here. And this show is the 460th hour show, which comes down to 1,018,600 words written and spoken by me, Mark Lewis. I'm the only person that's doing this. Let me read this to you. Uh-oh. Well, let me just tell you something about the 12 tribes. There was this kid that came out of the 12 tribes, and he says, you know, we were hit and we were locked in a basement for 2 weeks and taken away from our parents and stuff. But that, you know, the 12 tribes denies all this. But let me just say this. To any preachers out there, any religious people out there, Christians alike, Muslims alike, to preach that your way is the only way is to say all else should go to hell and will eternally pay. This is not the true way to the path of truth. The true way to find the truth of humanity is to preach a way, and if people follow, so be it. But if they turn away and find another way, let them be free and agree there is more than one branch on the spiritual tree. There is more than one sprig. There is more than one twig on the spiritual tree. The children are as young sapling trees, tender and delicate, these saplings from the spiritual tree. Do not try and forcefully bend them into shape. You think you should, the way you think they should grow, because these children, saplings from the spiritual tree, need love and hugs and nurture their souls. Don't hit them with strappings, with bamboo slappings. Do not shove and give them no grub. Do not torture their delicate souls, but rather show them good loving example to make them wholesome and whole. That should be your goal. Don't steal their soul by beating them with a pole. You believe in your spiritual leader is your teacher and all that is good. I say these words of truth I write is the chlorophyll that flows in the leaf vein in the spiritual wood. A true spiritual leader shall not preach that if you follow him, then you say you are the best because you believe you have the only sacred text. Before the spiritually weak can understand the sacred organic wheat, they must understand they must get sustenance from the holy cow udder. The sacred cow is holy because the milk over a cow's lifetime can feed millions more than if you ate the cow meat, because the milk that is expressed from the sacred cow teat is a far sweeter reality butter than the butchered and battered meat. The children are the chosen ones to lead us into the better days in the sun. The children are the angels that have the capacity to change adult audacity of evil doings and change this world of hate into a better place. Adults have had their chance with this world for centuries. It is now the age of the children's crusade. These delicate, precious angels of God will stand up for their God-given rights and fight all oppressors with mighty might. Many will die, but in the end, after all, the children's crusade will finally bring us to our holy days. Days free of hate, free of oppression, free from war, because the children know deep in their souls that is why they are here for. It is better to break bread. It is better to only break bread with people who hug and love than to eat a meat and feast with those who hate and beat. Do not hurt the children with physical harm, because the children are our saviors of our earth we call the holy farm. Do not teach the children that physical hitting is the word of God, because the path of hate leads the children away from heaven's gate. And this is Mark, and this is City Lights, City Streets, a little bit more later on that. And so here we are in downtown Plymouth, Massachusetts. And I do this for you. Let's see what time it is. I got to watch here. Talking watch.
It's 2:27 a.m.
2:27 a.m. They said, well, I got to fix that a.m. p.m. stuff. But this is Mark, and this is City Lights, City Streets, and we'll be right back. City Lights, City Streets, and I'm Mark, and you're you, right? Yeah, you aren't you? Hold on, let me fix this. Now, for 7 years, they've had sanctions against the Iraqi people. Now, 1 million or more children are dead because of the sanctions in Iraq. Now, if the United Nations had put sanctions on America and 1 million children died because of these sanctions, don't you think the American people would fight out against the oppressor? Isn't that a no-brainer? So, you know, you kill 1 million children, they're going to come after you. They're going to get you. Now, we should pull all the troops out of every country in the world and bring them back here, because our holy land now, and it has always been, in jeopardy. And why are we fighting the war in Israel? Isn't this our holy land? They knew this terrorist attack was going to come, but yet they kept the military guns in other countries to fight their wars? What for? And this is Mark, and this is City Lights, City Streets, right, John? Right, Whit? The true path to health, the true path to help the children. One should follow the children when they grow. Help them not to stray, yet allow them their rightful soulful say. Let them have the place in the sun. They will lead us to peace and love, away from deadly guns, and to the nest of the eternal, loving, peaceful dove. Above all else, if the children stray and fail, and if the boat they steer gets near the rocks at stormy sea, help them bail out, help them fix the sail, and then together ride the windy gale to the sacred place, and together we shall never fail. When I went into the 12 Tribes Common Store in Plymouth, Massachusetts, I talked to one of the people that run the store who were part of the religious group. And I gave him this thing that I'm reading you now, and he was smirking as if he had all truth. He doesn't. And I don't. It is far better to nurture and feed the morning dove than to cage it from flying high up above. Do not cage your baby birds and order them when they naturally tweet, that if they do not listen to your herald hark, then you tell them they will not eat. Rather, show the children the light in the dark. Do not hark at their innocent tweets. Listen with open hearts and take them under your wing and allow them to sing as they tweet. For young birds need to tweet their thoughts in words. Don't slap their tender cheek. For they love you and they are fragile, trustworthy, and weak. Hit them and you will bruise their souls, only for them to grow up to disrespect and hate other souls. The story is not new, it is old. Do not close the door to their fate. Embrace their angelic words they lace. So, for that is the sacred and holy fabric the angels create. Fly with them in flight of fancy, and as a parent or spiritual leader, do not get antsy. Prance with their prattle and dabble when they dribble, for you are their God clothed in Satan. You are their God clothed in satin. Do not hit them for their natural human ways, and practice patience, or they will think of you as a God clothed in Satan. A God dressed in satin is far better than a God clothed in Satan. You know, they talk about how they hit their kids with bamboo strappings, and they slap the bare buttocks, and as they're slapping the bare buttocks, the children are told to repeat, "Thank you for punishing me. Thank you for punishing me." And they're not allowed to play with toys. And they have vacant stares if you watch those children, as I did earlier. And it's sad. Do I buy food at the common store? Not anymore. Do I urge you to shop at the common store? That's up to you, whether or not you want to open that door. When the child was conceived, your duty as a parent was apparent. You are to protect them along life's way and not hurt and twist their arms because they did not listen to what you say. These words are sacred and are not mine alone, because these sacred words, as ancient bones, have yet to be unearthed in a sacred tome. So this is Mark, and this is City Lights, City Streets. And it all starts with the children. If you teach children to hit, you teach children to hate. If you spank your children, that's rank. And this is Mark, and this is City Lights, City Streets, and bring home the military to the U.S. to protect us, not them. The world has gotten too big to follow sprigs, to follow an ancient Bible that tells you a tooth for a tooth and an eye for an eye. Hammer your plowshares into swords, the Bible says. The Bible says, hammer your swords into plowshares. And I say, this world is much too big and much too complicated to follow an ancient blueprint. We must find new ways and new words to do what we have to do. And we must make do with what we got to. The American people want security. Bring home the military, bring home the Navy, the Air Force, the Army, and patrol our shores from California to the New Jersey shore. That's a no-brainer. If I was President of the United States, that's exactly what I would do. I would have done 5 years ago. I would have gotten out of all those countries. And then when the insurgents, and then when the beasts of the lands begin to... And then we will battle tooth and nail, and we won't fail. Because if you bring your hate to our shores, we're going to get you for sure. So don't spread yourself too thin. And if I was the president, that's where I would begin. And this is Mark, and this is City Lights, City Streets. And one more last thing. Sort of. It's still in there, hanging there. So, this is Mark, and this is City Lights, City Streets, and you can watch us at, let's see, you can watch us at Channel 13, 8:30 Wednesday night, 10 o'clock Friday night. So you can get to see us at 8:30 now. Yeah, because I don't swear anymore. Yeah, so they said, oh, we'll put you on TV if you don't swear at 8:30, Mark. So, all right, I don't swear. And now we're on at 8:30, so all you can see the truth. That is me, and that is you. We, the people of America, must stand up. We, the people of America, must realize that we must protect our shores. No more of this funny business, that's for sure. Again, I say to the spiritual leaders out there that believe in hitting, spanking as they call it, I call it hitting, and I call it hate. I say to them, so go as you please, you religious leaders. Go as you please, and try not to squeeze every ounce of blood from the human stone. And remember, for in the end, all is peace. If you want to separate the chaff from the wheat, then one day you will see that the tears that roll down the child's battered cheek is indeed the salt water that will make you spiritually weak. I find these words in the air and write them now after 2,000 years to finally clear the polluted spiritual years. So try and make all see and liberate humanity from the stormy, stormy, stormy sea. You see, all the hitting, hurting of children, the senseless wars that kill and maim from all from all those years and for all those tears, that is what makes up the water in the Sea of Galilee. Love is contagious, indeed. Hate is a contagious disease. And this is Mark, and this is City Lights, City Streets. Clean house. Get rid of all the political louts. Vote in me. Vote in you. We can do better because the ones that are in are not adhesive as glue. They don't stick to us because we're Uncle Gus. We're the real America. They're Uncle Sam. They're the man. They are damned because they do not protect us. They don't have the sense to bring the military to us. Post hence the destruction in New York City, in the Pentagon, gone. Why? Terrorists? Bombs? Or American terrorists? We don't know. We'll never know. What they tell us, we don't know. But I know for one thing, if I was President of the United States, I would get all the military, 5 years ago, all the military out of the entire different countries in the world, fighting their fights, and come to America to protect our life. And this is Mark, and this is City Lights, City Streets, and we'll be right back. And I'm going to get you to the... This is City Lights, City Streets. How y'all doing out there? Hi, City Lights, City Streets, and I'm Mark. How y'all doing out there? You know, this terrorist thing was an awful thing, wasn't it? Yeah. Colin Powell was in Lima, Peru when it happened. Now, what is he doing in Lima, Peru? Shouldn't he be in America doing America's business? What's he doing in Lima, Peru, Colin Powell? Setting up a democracy there, he said. Well, what about bettering our democracy here, I said. And this is Mark, and this is City Lights, City Streets. I'm as American as you can get. I wrote this just when I was watching the news. It says, you know, out of all the destruction and stuff, the only way to stop war is to show the American people the blood and the guts. Let's see the dismembered bodies. Let's see the crushed babies. Let's see it. CNN News should be on that 24 hours a day, seeing all that blood and stuff. I only saw a little bit of that stuff. It'll show you like 5 seconds of someone with a bloody face. That's it. If the American people in the world saw the actual bodies destroyed, lives destroyed, the crying parents, the brothers, the wives, the husbands crying and grieving, the dismembered bodies, the body parts. If this was all shown 24 hours a day, people would say, hey, this war stuff is going to stop. This is awful. And the American people would not ever want to go to war, or the American people would not want our military presence in other lands. The American military should get out of all those warring factions in other countries, because they're part of the problem over there. So you know, we're going to get retaliation as long as we fight other people's wars. We're going to get retaliation. And why should we get retaliation? The American people don't want that. Do you? Do you want that? Every American wants peace in America. And the only way to achieve that is to get out of the wars in other countries and bring our military people home. Stay out of other people's conflicts. Let's deal with our America, our problems. That's why this terrorist act happened, is because we're in other countries fighting other people's wars. They're pissing a lot of other people off, and they're going to come and retaliate again and again and again and again. Is this on? Are you listening? Am I off base with this, America? Isn't America our holy land? We need to get American troops out of foreign lands. We need to get American troops out of the desert sands and bring them home where they belong, and then just sit pat and sit back, because terrorists aren't going to retaliate against us if we're not helping another warring faction in another country, now are they? Because then we'd wash our hands of all that stuff. We don't have blood on our hands then. Colin Powell says terrorist acts. He says terrorists think that they can achieve their political goals through murder. Well, isn't that what war is? When Americans go over to Kosovo and shoot up people over there, isn't that murder? Oh, that's war. Is there a difference? Is there a difference between war and terrorism? Is there? War is war, isn't it? What, those people over in Kosovo, some of those people who get shot up, who get caught in the crossfire, they're not innocent people who got caught in the crossfire? Those children in Israel who get blown up and stuff, and in Arabia, they get blown up. They're not innocent victims of this war? Are they trying to achieve political goals through violence? Of course they are. So Colin Powell says terrorists that do this try to achieve their political goals through murder. Well, isn't that what war is? Hello? Is this on? Is there a difference between gathering the people in Germany during World War II and gassing them, or dropping a bomb on them and killing thousands of people? Is there a difference between dropping a bomb and then gassing people? I don't think so. War is war. Not good. No, not good. No. So bring home the American soldiers. Regroup. Be isolationalists. Don't help any other nations. Help our own nation. And then you won't get this problem. Is that common sense? Is that common sense, isn't it? Am I off base with this, John? Huh, Whit? I'm Peter. Peter, I was going to go to the 12 tribes meeting that they had, but I figured, why should I give them time? Because they hit their kids. They don't call it beating, though. They call it spanking. That's a nice word to say. They beat the hell out of them. Yeah. Do I shop at the Common Store anymore? No. I will not go through that door. My sacred soul will not support people that hit their kids' bare buttocks with a bamboo pole. So that's up to you to do whatever you want to do. If you want to shop there, go ahead. And what about the Common Store sign and stuff? Huh? What about the Historic Commission that allowed that to go through? Is that Plymouth? All the retailers downtown tell me that they have to adhere to a strict sign code of historical district in Plymouth, Massachusetts. They have to adhere to the strict code of historical significance and signage. And look at the size of the signage on the Common Store. Is that historical Plymouth? Huh? It looks like some LSD trip. Well, as a matter of fact, the founder of 12 Tribes used to follow the Deadheads around. You know, the Grateful Dead. That's telling you something right there, isn't it? Hello? They still on a trip? Yeah? On a bad trip. Well, it's time that we stop this. You know, you killed us, now we're going to kill you. You killed us, now we're going to kill you. You killed us, now we're going to kill you. We got to stop that bickering back and forth, folks. We got to stop war. The American people should make a stand, and the American government should make a stand and say, pull all their military out of our foreign lands and desert sands, and say, we're going to sit on our hands. We're not going to go fight anymore. We're just going to sit pat right here in the United States of America and not going to get into any conflicts. We're not going to retaliate. And then you'll find that terrorist acts won't occur because we're not fighting the Kurds. Take that. That's my word. And that's the truth. And this is City Lights, City Truth. You know, you fight in other countries, terrorists are going to come after you. American people don't want terrorism here. So why not the American government listen to the American people, right, John? And say, yeah, we want our land to be free and safe for our children and stuff. For God's sakes. And this is Mark, and this is City Lights, City Streets. And you know, I finally figured out why the world's gone crazy. I finally figured out why the democracy is drunk. Because in essence, democracy is drunk. They just did a test. Doctors did a test with MRI x-rays of taking x-rays of people's brains. A test in Dallas, Texas. It was done with 3,500 people over the age of 65. And they found out that even one alcoholic drink can shrink your brain. Even one alcoholic drink can shrink your brain. They know this for a fact. They also know for a fact that Alzheimer's patients, 99% of them show that same problem, a shrunk brain. So doesn't it make sense that since they did these x-ray tests on 3,500 people now, 3,500 people, and they gave them a drink, one drink, alcoholic drink, even people that never drank before, they gave them one drink and it shrunk their brain through x-ray imaging. Now, doesn't that tell you that alcohol shrinks your brain? Okay, well, we know that now, right? Because of these x-ray imaging. This is science. This isn't something made up. And Alzheimer's patients show a shrunk brain. So, I know when President Bush had his dinner with Fox, the President Fox of Mexico, they had wine served there. They're shrinking their brains. Now, you can't tell me that once you shrink your brain, that your normal, logical, rational function has got to be affected. Right? And it is. If you drink too much, your rational, logical brain is affected, right? Well, one drink a day can affect your rational, logical functioning. Obviously, the world's gone crazy because of this alcoholic drug that's addicting. And the alcohol company's got the perfect product, don't they? They got a product that not only shrinks your brain, but gives you anxiety and stress at the same time. Because when your brain shrinks, your central nervous system has got to be affected through stress and anxiety. And a lot of psychiatrists believe that the reason why people do drink is to relieve stress and anxiety. Now, if you drink alcohol to relieve stress and anxiety, and one of the side effects of alcohol is stress and anxiety, it's a catch-22. It's just a never-ending cycle. So the alcohol company's got the perfect product, don't they, to addict you. So if you take a relaxation and relieve stress, you go on vacation, you relieve stress, have a drink, have another drink. Not only does it relax you, but it makes you illogical, irrational, and it makes you more stressful, and it makes you more anxious, so you drink more. So it's a never-ending battle, and the alcohol companies should not be allowed to advertise on TV. The alcohol companies should not be allowed to advertise in print. And that's the secret of the democracy that is drunk. Because you cannot have a logical, rational society, civilization, if the people are irrational, illogical, and their brains are shrunk. So go shrink your brain some more. You know? I always said anyway, the politicians were voted in with gin. You know? But this is Mark, and this is City Lights, City Streets. See, in Wendy's, the PETA organization, you know, the people for the ethical treatment of animals, PETA, P-E-T-A, the people for the ethical treatment of animals, that they're getting down on Burger King and Wendy's and all that, because they want the chickens to be slaughtered in a more humane way. See, so they said, oh, Wendy's has already said that they're going to up the voltage in their little electric voltage things when they shock the chickens to death so that they die instantly, you know. I say just throw a thing of dynamite in there and have instant chicken nuggets. Yeah. But this is Mark, and this is City Lights, City Streets. The American people are missing the point about terrorism. The American people are missing the point. The point is, if we weren't in other countries fighting other people's wars, this would have never happened. And that's a fact. And I'm Mark, and this is City Lights, City Streets. Mother Teresa, before she died, went through an exorcism. I guess she had the devil in the blood, man. Oh, yeah, she had the devil in the blood. Oh, yes, she had the devil in the blood. So she had an exorcism, yeah, Mother Teresa, yeah. You know, that whole abortion thing anyway, is the Catholic Church is against abortion, but yet Mother Teresa in Calcutta took care of dying children that were born into the death camps. They knew that these children, when they were born, were going to die before the age of 1. But yet they didn't offer these people birth control pills. Why put children through the suffering of knowing that they're going to die? Why didn't they do birth control pills? Because the Pope doesn't believe in it? Come on. It's ridiculous. And this is City Lights, City Streets. Go tell your friends. Since the beginning of time, alcohol was brewed. Alcohol destroys civilizations, obviously. Why aren't there seatbelts on school buses? Isn't it common sense that you should have seatbelts on school buses? That's common sense. Why isn't there? Because the health officials in all the local communities, except Framingham and Lexington, Massachusetts, who have them, wasn't Lexington the shot heard around the world? Huh? And if, you know, the English people, you see, before the Pilgrims came over here, right, they were in England, see, so they got overtaxed, they didn't have religious freedom, so they figured, what the hell, we'll come over here. They come over here, and they settle, and then the British rules them for so many years, and then for like 200 years, 100 years, the British still rule. So now they're Americans now, see, the Pilgrims, and they're going to say, well, we don't want British rule anymore, see, so we're going to fight against British rule. So the British come over here, the Redcoats come over here, and then the Revolutionary Army starts. War starts, and we win. The Americans win. Now, we're in America now, right? And we can't do that now. We can't move to another country because the American people are fed up. The American people are fed up, and I talk to liberals, I talk to conservatives from Kalamazoo to Timbuktu, and they all say, yes, Mark, the government isn't representing the people. But there's no place for us to go, is there? The only place to go is where? Washington. I say we all go to Washington right now, and we demand representation. We demand that the military's people get out of all the countries in the world and come over here. We demand a good minimum wage. We demand that. Yeah. And this says City Lights, City Streets. And I got a little interesting piece of information for you all. Oh, Henry. Thank you, oh, Henry. Harvard professor of economics gave me this. A Harvard professor of economics gave me this little news article here. Yeah. And what this talks about the minimum wage. Yeah, you know what that is. Yeah. You know that unlivable wage? The unlivable wage where Ted Kennedy wants to boost it up another few nickels? Well, if that's the case, change the American flag into a hammer and a sickle. We may as well be slaves. Here we go. Let me get my glasses on. Okay. These are the scratched ones, but are you ready? All right, here we go. It says, consider these facts about the minimum wage. Drawn from recent data from the Institute of Policy Studies and United for a Fair Economy, these are organizations now, it's about the minimum wage. From recent data from the Institute for Policy Studies and a United People for a Fair Economy, also the Economic Policy Institute, and the American Sociological Review, and a new book, Raise the Floor, published by Ms. Foundation for Women. Now, this is some statistics about the minimum wage. If the minimum wage had risen at the same pace as American productivity since 1968, the minimum wage would be $13.80 an hour. Let me repeat that. If the minimum wage had risen at the same pace as American productivity since 1968, the minimum wage would be $13.80 an hour. If the minimum wage had risen at the same pace as domestic profits since 1968, minimum wage would be $13.02 an hour. Gets better. If the minimum wage had risen at the same pace as profits in the retail industry, the minimum wage would be $20.46 an hour. Nearly half of the workers in the retail industry make less than $8 an hour. Nearly half of the workers in the retail industry make less than $8 an hour. However, if the minimum wage had risen at the same pace as profits in the retail industry, the minimum wage would be $20.46 an hour. While 17% of America's workforce is in the retail industry, 17% of America's workforce is in the retail industry, 35% of American workers who make less than $8 an hour in the retail industry. 35% of American workers who make less than $8 an hour are in the retail industry. Fuzz. If the minimum wage had risen at the same level pace as executive pay since 1990, the minimum wage would be $25.50 an hour, not $5.15. If the average pay for production workers had risen at the same level as CEO pay since 1990, the annual salary of a person would be $120,000 a year, not $24,000 a year. 29% of American families make less than what the Economic Policy Institute estimated is needed to meet basic needs, a national median of $33,000. 29% of American families make less than what the Economic Policy Institute estimate is needed to meet basic needs, $33,000. Now, obviously the minimum wage should be $15 an hour. That's a no-brainer on that one. And all these people are struggling and stuff, and they say, people see, they get sick in the head. See, they had too many drinks. See, their brain shrunk, and they're not logical and rational when it comes to the minimum wage. And these people say, they're brainwashed too, and they say, well, we live in the best country in the world, you know what I mean? Be thankful you have a job, you know, and all this. Like, that has nothing to do with be thankful you have a job. Minimum wage hasn't risen in 25 years to keep up with inflation, to keep up with profits of industry. So on the one hand, you have minimum wage just going up just a few cents a year, while profit and industry are making millions off their workers. Is this on? Did you get hit in the head? I don't know, America. The wealthiest 1% of Americans control 38% of America's wealth. 1% of Americans control about 38% of America's wealth. Well, that's okay if you're rich. You can control it. Okay, fine. But if you control the wealth, that means you control workers' pay, right? Okay. So what we're trying to say here is that industry and the rich, it's okay to be rich, but what you pay your workers slave wages, and not only that, you allow 500,000 legal immigrants into the country a year, which take away these jobs, these minimum wage jobs from American peoples and families. And not only that, the foreigner who's used to making $2 an hour comes over here and makes $6 an hour, thinks it's great. They'll never ask for a raise, so industry has their slave labor for the next 10 years at $6 an hour. Is this on? Isn't it time we close the doors to immigrants? Okay, we're America. We go all over the world. We fight everyone's war. You know, we give $50 million to Egypt to protect their waterways, to build better transportation systems, to build better schools. And right here in Plymouth, Massachusetts, they're thinking about building more schools when they can't even fix the darn ones that they have now that are decrepit and poisoning the kids through bad air. And then they want to make peace, wants to build a big development over in Plymouth, Massachusetts. This is happening in any town USA. This isn't just happening in Plymouth, Massachusetts. This happens in any town USA where they want to build these big developments, put in 3 or 4 golf courses, which we know golf courses are the worst, one of the worst polluters of the land because they mow grass daily, and it's thousands and thousands of carbon dioxide, harmful carbon dioxide that goes into the air. For what? For a golf course? For what? You should keep golf courses out of your community, period. You need housing, but as far as the golf course is concerned, keep them out. Some guy said to me, Mark, you should bring up the point that Makepeace wants to build thousands of homes and stuff, and who's going to pay for the schools? Are the builders going to pay for the schools and all this? Well, that's a good question. Well, the question is this. I want to answer that young man. He wasn't so young, about as old as me. Yeah. Was that when you build the houses, real estate taxes pay for schools. And if schools were better designed, they could be cheaper. But nobody wants a better design. They all go with the old tried and true old dinosaur schools that need repair, that have bad ventilation systems and stuff. So you stuff kids in schools with bad air, you overcrowd it, so now they have no air, now they get sick, confusion, memory loss, along with the teachers who get memory loss, confusion and stuff. And not only that, the teachers, have a drink a day or something, and now their brain is shrinking. Now they're illogical, irrational, and health officials are drinking, and their brain is shrinking, and politicians have a drink, and their brain is shrinking, because it's a fact that we know that now through a test that doctors did in Dallas, Texas, that they tested 3,500 people with x-rays of the brain and showed that even one drink can shrink your brain. That's not good. No. Not good. Not good, no. No, not good to have a shrunk brain. No, not good. No. And this is Mark, and this is City Lights, City Streets. And Miss Simpson, a young lady who wrote me a letter about potassium iodide, that number to call is in the mail. You will be receiving that, how to get potassium iodide, protect yourself if there's a nuclear radiation accident. And this is Mark, and this is City Lights, City Streets, and we'll be right back. Okay, all right. See, now Americans, all these dead Americans, which is sad, all these dead Americans from the World Trade Center, now Americans finally realize what war is all about, don't they? They realize that, yes, loved ones do die in war. What about the million children in Iraq that died over the years because of sanctions? We don't care about Iraqi kids, do we? Nah, we don't care about them. Let them die. And what about all those other kids in Kosovo and stuff? And in Africa? Africa, there are 10 million people that died because of the revolutionary wars that are going on over there. We don't care about them, But the bottom line is war is bad. Come home, American military. Protect our shores. And then if we don't get our hands blood on our hands in other countries, then they won't come after us now, will they? No. So the American people should be awfully mad as hell that this has happened to them. The American people, we the people of America, because we did nothing wrong. It was the government that sent this military over to Israel. It's the government that sent the military over to Kosovo and Argentina, Yugoslavia. We had nothing to do with that. So we get the brunt of the bullet when it's the government. We need to tell the government. We need to write letters. We need to talk to people and say, hey, we don't want to fight wars in other countries. Bring home our military men. Let's make our life in America much better. Put Colin Powell in Lima, Peru, when this all occurred. Come over here and polish our democracy stone rather than setting up another democracy and another home. And this is Mark, and this is City Lights, City Streets. And I don't know what else I can say to you guys, but we're on Wednesday night now at 8:30, and we're on, tonight will be the last night on Wednesday night. We'll be on at 10 p.m. We'll be on Wednesday night at 8:30 now, hour and a half show. And on Friday night, it's 10 o'clock. Watch for that one. That'll be comedy on Friday, yeah. Comedy, yeah. This is, on Wednesday it'll be serious, and on Friday it's going to be comedy, okay? And Barbara Gray, I want your daughter to come on as a host on my show. Did she get a tooth fixed yet? Yeah? Did she? Okay. Well, I can fix it. Tell her to come over here. I'll rip a tooth off. I got some teeth over here from a deer that I found. We can put a deer tooth in her head if she wants to come on. And is this good enough to go out to Dedham, you think? Yeah? Is it? Is it, Michelle? Is this good enough to go out to Dedham yet? Well, why don't you call me and why don't you pick the show that you want to go to Dedham, okay? And then we'll do that, okay? Because, obviously, these other people want to be sponsors of my show in these towns, in certain towns, see? And they say, well, I want to view your tape first, what do you want to edit me? Just because I say some things that you don't agree with, well, I can't put my name on that. You're not putting your name on anything. You're just saying freedom of speech. And basically, that's what you're doing. You're allowing freedom of speech to occur, or happen. And this is Mark, and this is City Lights, City Streets. If you want to come on the show, write P.O. Box 1503, Manamet, Massachusetts, 02345. And you can come on, okay? All right. Trying to think, I got to get another idea here. Let's see, another idea. Oh, I got an idea. Yeah. I got an idea. Yeah. I got a great idea. Yeah, above my head. Yeah. I got an idea. My idea is this. My idea is that love is contagious indeed. Hate is a contagious disease. So, just remember to love the children. Don't hit the children. Okay? And realize that terrorist acts would not occur in America if we didn't cause destruction in other countries. If we weren't the cause of destruction in other countries and the destruction of peoples, men, women, children, and buildings in other countries, then this terrorist act would have never happened to us. Stop being in the war business, America. And you can take that to the bank, Hank. And we'll be right back. Oh, look who it is. It's the Tin Man, Ken Tavares. It is the Cowardly Lion. There's Dr. Rushworth, the Cowardly Lion. Yeah. And Dorothy Eleanor Beth. There she is with Toto, Mr. Richard O'Keefe, the safety inspector. And there's the Scarecrow. Malagoody, Selectman Malagoody. And Ken Tavares, the Tin Man, says, but Dr. Rushworth, we need to put the smoking ban to the people. The people should know. And Dr. Rushworth says, oh, come on, I'm courageous. I had someone die in my family of cancer. It's not a good thing. I tell you, it's not a good thing. And Selectman Scarecrow Malagoody says, if
If I only had a brain, I'd be smoking, I'd be smoking. I don't smoke, but I say, let 'em smoke their brains out. I'd be happy as a slappy, I'd be dippy as a dappy if I only had a brain. Ken Tavares, the Tin Man, says, well, we'll put it to the voters. That's the best thing to do. That's the best thing we can do. Put it on a referendum. That's democracy. Put it on the referendum. Well, and then Dr. Rushworth says, oh, I don't know. I'm still against smoking. I had a family member. Oh, that's very sad. It's very close to my heart. And Richard O'Keefe, Toto goes, and then the Scarecrow, Selectman Malaguti says, if I only had a brain. I have a question for Tavares. I don't know if he can handle it, but I only don't have a brain. You said you want to put the smoking ban to the public. Why not ask them about potassium iodide too? And Selectman Tavares says, well, I may be a Tin Man. I don't have a heart, but no, we can't put potassium iodide on a referendum. We can only put the smoking ban on the referendum. And Rushworth goes, oh, I'm telling you, it's terrible, that smoke. Oh, it'll kill you. Well, nuclear radiation will kill you too, but I'm against potassium iodide. It doesn't work. I know it doesn't work, even though scientists in Chernobyl said it did, even though children who took potassium iodide in Chernobyl, who took potassium iodide in Chernobyl. I'm getting all broken up here. I'm the courageous, cowardly Rushworth lion. And the ones that did take potassium iodide, they lived. And the ones that didn't take potassium iodide at Chernobyl radiation accident, they died and got cancer and died. But that didn't happen to my family, so only the smoking did. And I'm against smoking. Oh, that radiation, I don't know. I know a lot about radiation, though, because I'm a radiologist. And potassium iodide, no, I don't think so. No, we don't need it. Even though the prisoners have it, I know, but we don't need it. Okay. And Mr. Richard O'Keefe, who has the power to order potassium iodide, is in Ellen Beth Psalms. Richard O'Keefe says, and Ellen Beth says, now, Dr. Rushworth, you be quiet, and you just wipe up those tears, and Toto, you be quiet too. And then Scarecrow Malaguti says, he starts singing again, if I only had a brain, I allow smoking in the restaurants because I don't know a thing, because I'm so happy with my straw, I'm so happy without my brain, if I only had a brain. And then the Tin Man says, Tavares says, why don't we put it on a referendum and forget about all that other stuff. Don't let democracy work for that other stuff. Let's just put the smoking ban on the referendum. Forget about putting higher taxes, whether they want higher taxes on the real estate tax bill, if they want that to be higher, or if they want them decreased. Don't put that on the referendum. No, we wouldn't want that type of democracy. We don't want that type of democracy. We don't want putting potassium iodide. Should we get it in our schools? We don't want to put that in a referendum. We don't want that democracy. But the smoking democracy, no, that's democracy. That's all democracy. Oh, I'm telling you, we need it. And Dr. Rushworth says, oh, everything else is going to go up in smoke. And don't you think so, Eleanor Beth? And Eleanor Beth says, I don't know. I make $90,000 a year. Don't ask me a damn thing. And this is Mark, and this is City Lights, City Streets. You can contact me at P.O. Box 1503, Manamet, Massachusetts, 02345. And yes, you can be the next mayor. Yes, Mark, you can be the next mayor of Plymouth. All those 25,000 voters, registered voters, only 5,000 or 6,000 of them vote every year. If all my 18-year-old friends and 20-year-old friends and 25-year-old friends out there, if they all got together and wrote me in as mayor, I'd be your mayor. And as mayor, I would give half my salary back and live on the other half. As mayor, I would tax alcoholic drinks in bars and restaurants 25 cents each drink. That would give so much, millions of dollars to the town of Plymouth. Because to a drinker, his brain is shrinking anyway, so you might as well shrink a little bit more money too. Give him 25 cents
more per drink tax on an alcoholic drink, and you raise millions and millions and millions of dollars. Not only that, I'd have a parking car garage, and that would raise millions and millions of dollars, and that would also bring in more people into Plymouth, because now they can park. And not only that, retail business would go up because there'd be more people coming to Plymouth, and they'd be spending more money in the retail shops. And as mayor, I would clean up the streets of Plymouth myself. I would go out there and sweep every day. I would sweep a different street every day and clean up the town of Plymouth of all litter and stuff. And that can be easily done, because I think that a mayor should not only put higher taxes on alcoholic drinks that are consumed by the dozens in these restaurants and bars, by the dozens. We could raise millions of dollars that way. I not only think that a mayor should do things like that, but a mayor should also take an active role and clean up the streets. I would also help imprisoned mothers get better jobs. I would also help imprisoned people get better jobs. I would go there and get them jobs. Set up situations where they can go work. Give them training skills so that they're not back in jail again. And as mayor, I would start a program in the school system where children can learn how to farm, and those produce and vegetables that they produce can be sold down at Plymouth Rock during the summer, so people, locals and tourists, can get fresh, organic fruits and vegetables without paying high prices in supermarkets. And not only will we be teaching the kids a skill, which they would get credit for, to teach them a skill how to get along in life, how to farm so that they'll never ever be hungry. You could stop the homeless problem that way by teaching children how to farm. And not only that, take those proceeds, those vegetables and fruits, and set up scholarships so we can send kids to school, the education, to college, which they need. As mayor, I would raise the police officers' pay $5,000. I would raise the firemen's pay $5,000. I would teach firemen. I would set up a situation where firemen need to be more responsive and more kind to people. There was a report that came to me that there was a fire alarm that kept going off in a store, and the firemen came in and yelled at the people and said, "You did this and you did that," without knowing really what went on. That isn't how we want our firemen to act, is it? This is Mark, and this is City Light City Street. So if even just half or even a quarter of the registered voters, if they wrote me in as mayor, I'd be your mayor. Not only that, I would clean up the schools. I'd get a ventilation system in the schools. If we needed new schools, I'd build new schools. I'd get volunteers to build the schools. I'd get the high school students to build the schools. I'd get people to donate materials to build these schools. And I would get teachers. I would hire teachers that are unemployed. I would hire teachers that are driving cabs in Boston with PhDs. I would hire them at a low rate. The people that love to teach need to teach our children. I talked to a first grade teacher the other day, and I said, are you excited about going back to school and teaching those young children, first graders, all about life and education and social studies and stuff? And she says, "No, I'm going to hate it." She says, I'm just going to hate it. Now, do you want someone like that teaching first graders? Is this on? As mayor, I would give all teachers tests to make sure that they were psychologically competent. I would also do background checks of all teachers to make sure that they have no criminal past. We don't want criminals teaching our children, now do we? But you know, it all depends on their crime. If it has to do with children, then we don't want them teaching. But if they make a mistake, okay, that's one thing. But there should be criminal checks on all teachers. And any principal that whacks a kid or swears at a kid or get them out of there. Get them out of there. I've heard some stories about principals in this town and other towns, and it's not nice. Get them out of there. If you have any complaints about the Plymouth school system or any school system in Hingham, Dedham, Norwood, Brockton, Walpole, you can write me at P.O. Box 1503, Manamet, Massachusetts, and we'll air it. And we'll say the teachers' names, okay? So you can write me at P.O. Box 1503, Manamet, Massachusetts, 02345. As mayor, I would make sure there be seatbelts on school buses. If the health inspectors of the town aren't going to do it, the safety, the highway, the traffic and highway department of the state of Massachusetts said, we believe there should be seatbelts on school buses. However, we're going to leave it up to the local communities. I say, to the local communities, I say to the school committee, get Sorensen, Hershey, get seatbelts on school buses. It's a no-brainer. What are you thinking? Priorities, priorities, priorities. What good are new schools if you don't seatbelt the kids? At the next school committee meeting, I want parents to go there, and I'll go there with a camera, and we'll ask these questions. Why aren't there seatbelts on school buses? And don't say it's the money. And don't say, oh, Laidlaw is dragging their feet. Laidlaw, actually, it's their buses. Laidlaw should pay for those seatbelts because they're their buses. They're enhancing their property. They should pay for it, period. Richard O'Keefe should order it. Health inspector, he has the right to do that. The Highway and Traffic Department of the Massachusetts said that they're leaving it up to the communities. The community is the health inspector, safety inspectors. And the school committee, they need to order seatbelts on school buses. What good are new schools, like I said, if you're not going to protect the children in school buses? And this is Mark, and this is City Lights, City Streets. And if I was mayor, I'd make sure that happened. But we're going to make it happen anyway. You know what I mean? Because if one child dies on a school bus or gets injured by turning a corner and falling out of their seat, which happens all the time. You know, when you go around a corner, there's nothing holding you in. You're going to slide off the seat and go into the aisle. That happens to more kids have told me that they've fallen in the aisle and gotten hurt. But, you know, why are we ignoring it? Teachers don't care. School committees don't care. Politicians certainly don't care. You know? But I care, and not only that, as mayor, I would charge $1 for every room that is rented in Plymouth, Massachusetts. That would raise millions and millions of dollars. As mayor, I'd get potassium iodide for the people in case there's a nuclear radiation accident. And not only that, I would get the health inspector every month to go into the nuclear power plant and inspect it to make sure everything is under control as mayor. So this is Mark, and this is City Lights, City Streets. And I'll see you. All right, take care. And write me at P.O. Box 1503, Manamet, Massachusetts, 02345. And remember, we, the people of America, can do something. But you got to write in people, write in your friends, write in me as mayor, write in anybody. Because anybody is better than what we got. We got to bring back the power to the people. So live in peace and harmony. And I'm Mark, and this is City Lights, City Streets. If I only had a brain. I tell you, we need potassium iodide, but I'm not sure. We'll put it to referendum to the people. That's what we'll do. We'll put the referendum to the people. Forget about that other democratic stuff about higher taxes and putting that to the people. Forget about putting seatbelts on school buses. Who cares about kids anyway? If I only had a brain.